Few subjects in the sphere of food and nutrition spark more intense discussions than genetic engineering, or GMOs. For more than 2 decades, the International Food Information Council Foundation has educated consumers and decision makers about the technology, with resources including our website, foodinsight.org, and a biotechnology communicator's guide that has been translated into 8 languages. We also have conducted extensive survey research into consumer attitudes and behaviors around GMOs. While GM technology has been proven to be safe and is a crucial tool for feeding a growing population, there are still concerns about the environmental sustainability of monocultures and the development of herbicide resistance. The IFIC Foundation's 2016 Food and Health Survey found that nearly half of Americans had read an article or book or watched a documentary about the food system in the previous year, and about half of those consumers had changed their food purchases as a result. While no documentary is perfect, we were curious to see if the same will hold true for Food Evolution, a new movie that's the latest entry into the GMO debate on the silver screen. Acclaimed filmmaker Scott Hamilton Kennedy recently sat down with us to talk about his new film.
The GMO story was just waving its hands, saying, this is a controversial story, this is a story about food, this is a story about the future of food and sustainable food and safe food around the world. And it wasn't being told correctly. Usually, those stories, the untold stories, you would see as somebody that is an underdog could be in a poverty situation or a difficult social situation. You usually don't think it's going to be something like science, where that's a pretty elite institution, but there was a huge part of that institution that wasn't being told.
Food Evolution is a bit of a departure for Kennedy, whose career has spanned everything from music videos to commercials to animation. His previous work has focused on subjects like inner cities and education, including The Garden, which was nominated for an Academy Award in 2008. While Food Evolution was funded by the Institute of Food Technologists, Kennedy says he was given complete creative control.
One of the things that's been tricky with this film is, like, who's the funder, right? With something as controversial as GMOs, people will wonder if there's a conflict of interest, right? Is this a film that is being funded by industry for the benefit of an industry, for the benefit of something? I can tell you that there was no money from biotech in this film, but most importantly, IFT funded the film, and I asked for, and they granted me, final cut, complete creative control, and I couldn't have said yes to the project if they hadn't done that.
Lending his own gravitas and voice to the production as narrator is noted science communicator Neil deGrasse Tyson.
At its most basic, genetic engineering, or as some say, GE, is a modern form of breeding.
Kennedy says the data-driven and nuanced approach to Food Evolution sets it apart from other films on the subject. While it takes an undeniably positive view of GMOs, Kennedy traveled the world to tell all sides of the story. Still, he was surprised about the attitudes of some GMO opponents.
They were very controlled in the way that they wanted to talk to us, where we could film, what questions we could ask. And people at the World Food Prize, we shot at other large corporations, they were very open. And they said, what do you want to ask? Where do you want to go? What do you want to shoot? And that just made me sad. And I think it goes to frustrations about them kind of knowing that they don't have data to support some of their points of view. And if they did, then what's the harm in being transparent?
Kennedy describes himself as a dyed-in-the-wool liberal elite, which is why Food Evolution surprised a lot of his Hollywood colleagues.
I have had friends, when they first heard about me taking on a GMO project, they wondered if they'd lost me. They wondered if I'd gone to the dark side or something like that. But there were some people that said, you know, I'm a little wary that you have lost your way in terms of telling good stories. And I treated this film the way I've treated all of my films, which is tell the story.
Despite the divisive nature of the GMO debate, Kennedy says we all share the same goals, and there's room for common ground.
Our end games should be the same. Our end game should be, what's the truth? What's the nuanced truth? How do we make the best decisions with all of that information? They're not perfect decisions. They're not easy decisions. But let's use good information to help us make good decisions. Life is more complicated than that.
Of course, science itself is complicated, and the IFIC Foundation will continue to study it and educate the public.